Tutaenda direct kwa mgeni wetu wa leo. Naona ashajaja kwenye studio. Wapi to see him. Mzee, Major Retired. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
Doing good.
Good to see you.
At least this hour in the morning for wazee kama sisi si kazi rahisi.
Pole sana kwa kukwamisha.
Nimejaribu na nikapotea njia.
We're very happy to have you here finally. See you looking all glorious in your wisdom. Unajua unasema ukiona nywele nyeupe ujue ya kwamba hekima iko karibu na wewe.
Asante, nashukuru.
Anasema penye wazee habaribiki neno.
Well, hiyo ni kweli.
So karibu sana kwenye studio. In studio inaitwa Short Connection to the Tackle, and we are very happy to see you.
Thank you.
Asante sana. So wacha nitaanza kwanza utuambie wewe ni nani. Kindly introduce yourself with John Seii.
Asante. Nashukuru. Kwanza ni kusema asanteni kwa kunikaribisha kwa studio yenu. Kwa majina ni John Seii na salonutiki yangu ile wamenipandisha hapa na pale ni kwamba naitwa Major Seii. Mimi natoka upande wa Rift Valley kule Keyo, Marakwet County kwa line yetu ya Wakalenjin. Mimi ni Mkeyo. Mimi nimekuwa chairman emeritus ama nimekuwa chairman na founder ya Miot Council of Elders. Sasa nimepeana kijiti ya uongozi na sasa nikapaki na giti ya emeritus. Tena mimi ni deputy chair wa National Council of Elders.
Wow, amazing.
Na nimekuwa member wa BBI. Huyo ni Major John Seii.
So Major John Seii. Yes. So ulikuwa Major miaka gani? That must be quite long. That must be really long.
Basi nitakwambia hivi so that wewe unafanya calculation. Ni tangu ni toe nguo zangu za kijeshi ni miaka 38. 38 years. So kwa hivyo ukiniuliza swali hilo nitakupatia nafasi ufanye calculation. Nilikuwa major lini?
That's a very good question. Najua kidogo ilibaki nipate Z kwa mtihani ya hesabu mathematics, lakini I'll try to make those calculations. Well, so with those calculations I believe that you've been in this country long enough, more than everyone who is seated in this room today.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure you've seen you've seen all these things that have been happening in the country, and you've been part of the growth of this country. It'll be interesting to know what actually inspired you to be in the military at that time.
Well, I think first of all, siku hizo za ukoloni, we really admired people in uniform. Uniform gave a character. It gave a style. It gave air around the wearer of the uniform. Nilikuwa na uncle yangu who joined the Second World War. So he used to come home in full military regalia. And I used to like the hat in particular because it was slapped on one side and it had a kind of a plume. And I said, when I grow up, I will be like him. And that thing stayed in me all through my childhood in the village and taking care of cows and the goats and the sheep, and until I went to school, and that thing hung around me until 1961, when the military wanted to recruit Africans. And I presented myself, and they said, well, man, you are too young. But it was not the youth. My uncle told me, listen, pursue your studies, join the military later, which was the wisest thing I ever received from a relative in that particular direction. So the military was very much part of my thinking and my psyche. And so when the time came to join the military, it was just, walkover. Nilingia, and I was fit, and I had the passion, and that, opened the gate for me, and accepted in the military, and in those days, even to go overseas for training. That was soon after independence. It was very competitive. But at the end of, we were so many, over 20. And some of us went to Ethiopia, some went to UK for 6 months. And there were those who were supposed to go to UK for 2 years. Honestly, I did not even feel qualified to go to Ethiopia or to go to UK for 2 years. My hesabu ilikuwa nitaenda for 6 months. And of course, my background, I wanted to come home and be with my people. But they chose me and they said, you are going to Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, one of the most prestigious military institutions in the world, like West Point in US.
Wow.
So I went there for 2 years. My friend, that opened my head far and wide.
Ilikufungua akili kabisa.
Lakini wengine walikuwa nasema, okay, you are from Kenya, tumeona coups in Nigeria, coups in Ghana, wapi? Are you going to stage a coup in Kenya? I said, no, I am a loyal citizen. I'm not going to do that. And I tell you, the preparation that I received in that institution was for life.
Wow.
Today, I use it because the foundation was very sound. Yes.
All right. That almost actually, that almost informs us on the fact that what you're going to tell us today is out of patriotism. All right. Now, from your history, it's very clear that then you've seen almost all the phases that this country has gone through. And you know, you've almost seen the problem, even the coup that you're talking about in 1982, you've seen it. So probably you've seen the journey of this country growing from a small republic to what it is today. In your own opinion, what do you think is really the problems that bedevils this country?
Well, I think Kenya haina sura. We when it comes to national ethos, Kenya has no ethics. We are only known as tribal units. We are known as people who are corrupt, people who they don't even give jobs on merit. Tribalism is rampant everywhere. And this really makes me very sad. When I was in the military, one of the institutions that instills discipline, patriotism, and unity are people in uniform, particularly the military, the people in the armed forces. So hii Kenya yetu iko na shida mingi sana. Now, it's not because we want to be where we are today. I think the foundation of the Kenyan nation was not properly thought about, and as such, we started on the wrong foot, and we have not changed. You know, in the military, when you are on the parade and the order is given quick march, if you miss the step, there is something called change step. Kenya has not changed step. We're still marching on the wrong foot. And that is why even wasomi wetu, whether in the area of economics, development, all the rest of it, wanasema, oh, Koreans, sijui nani, kule watu wa Singapore, we were at par at independence. And look where they are today. I'll tell you, the biggest problem is we started on the wrong foot and we did not hatukubadilisha hiyo mwenendo yetu. Tumeendelea hiyo na njia ya ukabila, njia ya mtu wangu, njia ya watu wetu, njia ya nani anajua nani. And that messes up a country. And so that when somebody goes to an office, anauliza nani yako kule mtu wangu, nitatafuta nani kule, because kule kupeana service, mtu atakuuliza wewe unatoka wapi, na the minute unasema I come from somewhere, they put you in a pigeonhole somewhere. Anajua hiyo huyo ni huyo. And this has created a spirit of despondency. People wanasema sasa kama sina mtu, sasa mimi nitakuwa namna gani? So these are the issues ambaye hata kwa BBI we looked at it very closely, and we discovered that when it became national ethos, the issue of national ethos, it became more or less the hub of everything else. We talk of devolution, we talk of corruption, we talk of inclusivity, and all these other things. And you see, all of them, it touches the character, it touches the face. Who are we? And I'm glad that I was part of that team and still part of that team, because I saw a lot of things, we saw a lot of things, we heard people, and people were very passionate in what they were saying. And one of the things was saying, sasa tutafanya nini ili ukabila iishe, kwa sababu Msomali kutoka Isiolo or somewhere else akienda kule Eldoret ama Nakuru akitafuta kazi, kwanza anauliza sijui kama niko na watu wangu kule, niko na nani. Akisikia kuna Omar ama Hassan mahali fulani, anaweza kutafuta na kusema can you help me? And yet it ought not to be like that.
We all need to be Kenyans.
We ought to be Kenyans.
All right. There have been claims that actually Kenyans, even as you speak about national ethos, which is a very good point that I'm seeing noting from you. But the question is, there have been concerns about the resources, and there has been claims that actually Kenyans fight over resources, because every other time they think that people are fighting over maybe land and other things. As we speak about national ethos, where do we integrate resources in changing character?
Well, I think it is the way we value things. I think a Kenyan, as it is right now, as we are talking, kama huna piece of land, whether it is a quarter or a point or 10 acres or 500 acres, you are nobody. That's why mtu anasema ninaenda shambani. That is to say I'm going home. So value ambayo tumeweka material things is so high that it affects even our character. Kama huna shamba, then you are nobody. And I come from a community that if you don't have a piece of land, then people will look down. It's like not having a cow. Mtu anasema hata kama we ni maskini, you must have a goat or a sheep. But you have to have a piece of land to graze that goat or sheep or cow. So it is the value. What are we putting value? Tukiweka value our unity as a people, then we will not fight over resources. And of course, the management of the resources, whether it's grass or water or space to do business, the management of all these things is again a challenge in that we have acquired over time a system that tends not to question. Ni kama status quo. Mtu hajaamka na kusema hey, sikizeni wananchi. Let us change our attitude towards these material things. We have become so materialistic to the extent that our pastoral communities, bearing in mind that they go through very difficult climatic changes, when run short of water, short of pasture, and when there is lack of that, then whatever is available, they will fight over it. And because we are still a tribe, kabila fulani, ama clan fulani, so it becomes a question of I am fighting for my people. I fight for my clan, for that water, for that pasture. So it is a myriad of things. Vitu imejaa hapo. And I think, again, I go back. We need to change step. We need to re-evaluate. What is it that we value most? If we value Kenya as a unit, a country that is composed of 42 or 43 different ethnic groups, we need to come up with a way of uniting these people. And we found this in the BII process, because we went everywhere, 47 counties. And the BII, we collected information that is enough to change the direction of this country. Yeah.
You'll allow me, I might ask you we are now going to switch gear, and I might ask you very difficult questions. I hope you don't mind, and I hope you'll be ready to answer them in the most honest way. And I hope you're going to have a conversation that's going to help Kenyans, because this is a process that affects every other single Kenyan, and it's important that we have these conversations. I mean, we cannot run away from them. We need to talk about things that we need to talk about, so that even when you spoke about, for the longest time we've talked about the truth and justice and healing process in terms of reconciling this country. But there are questions that you've never asked. First of all, the questions of resources. What really do Kenyans fight over? Land, you talk about Dungu Land Report, you talk about the Waki Report that talks about land every other time. When you look at the BBI report, for instance, as well, you've not really addressed the issues of land. It's very quiet and silent on it. But anyway, before we delve deeper into that, I want to ask you a question about the background of BBI. You're part of that task force. And the other day, I had the president saying that it was a process, that it was, let's pick these people that sit down and start designing the BBI thing. What is the background? Where did all these things start? And how did you guys find yourselves as a team, and for what reasons?
I think BBI is a product of the handshake, because before that there was nothing. And after handshake, this thing called BBI was sort of crafted, it was formulated, and the direction was given, and that is why 9 thematic areas were given to us. And the process was so fast, in the sense that it took no time. It took no time to form the BBI, and so I would say majority of us, the 14 of us, did not know anything about BBI until we heard over the radio and television and newspapers. And I have no quarrel about that. That was very good. It was a pleasant surprise. And when we embarked on the process, I think we started on the right foot together. The passion and the drive and the need to be part of change in this country, because you see, majority of us ni wazee, over 65, and we have seen a lot. We have agonized over issues in this country, and it became an opportunity for us really to go and collect information. And collecting information, it was like collecting information from myself. This thing was so deep that it was not me, BBI, going to them to collect the information. I was just like saying, I'm going to myself. I don't want to be philosophical when it comes to that, but I was going to myself to collect information. And myself spoke, and myself gave the information, and myself received the information. So it was a fantastic process, and people spoke. Really, I really say I thank God that I never missed any day in those, I don't know how many days, in those days. So I had literally everybody. Na ijapokuwa uzee iko, sometimes you miss it and you say yule secretary wetu ata capture some of the things, utakuja kusoma baadaye. But the genesis ya BBI ilikuwa the handshake, and I dare say there could have been never a better thing than BBI. It was the best, and it's still the best.
So there could be a better thing than BBI or than handshake, because you're saying it's handshake that bothered BBI.
well, I think it is the handshake. Ilizaa BBI. So huyu mtoto ambaye amezaliwa ni mtoto mzuri. Na sisemi kwamba ati nimesahau mzazi, lakini huyu mtoto ni beautiful. Kwa sababu kama mzazi angezaa mtoto ambaye ni kiwete, mtoto ambaye haoni na vitu kama hizo, ingekuwa challenge. But I'm saying huyu mtoto ambaye alizaliwa alikuwa na macho vizuri, miguu na nini, alikuwa wholesome. So BBI ilikuwa wholesome. Yes.
Ilikuwa ama bado ni wholesome?
No, I'm going there.
I know. I don't want to provoke you to answer very directly. But I would also want to ask you a question. I was going through the BBI report, and I'm saying there's someone called Dr. Ken Nyaundi and another guy called Tom Masharia. Who are those people?
Well, those were they were in the team of the experts. Those are people very qualified when it comes to constitutional, legislative issues. They have done these things. They are super guys. The way they did their work, I must say they did it very well. Yes.
All right. So, what was your space in the BBI report, or in the BBI, the whole activity around BBI? What was your role, as Major John was saying?
Well, with the 9 thematic areas, When it came to safety and security, that became my docket. That was my line. Everywhere we went, wakati ilisemekana sasa ni wakati wa kuchambua mambo ya safety and security, I was chairing that session. Yes.
All right. So I would want to rush in very quickly to another discussion. The process of collecting these views, making the documents, how did it happen? Would you feel, Kenyans were involved extensively in the collection of views? What was the process? Because they have been argued that the process was almost elite. Like, you guys were setting up meetings in 5-star hotels or 3-star or 4-star hotels and calling in a bunch of people for a conversation. Do you feel it was extensively involving in terms of the real Wanjiku, the person who really needs this document?
I want to say from the word go that Wanjiku was involved. When collecting information right across the nation, with a time span that we were given, we had to sort of budget and say, in order to achieve our objective, how do we do it? Now, we could have asked people to come for a 2-day conference so that we really interact. But time and resources did not allow us to do that. So what happened is every county gave us 20 representatives from each constituency. So if you have 4 constituencies, then we had 80 representatives. And those who came were right across the board. There were women, youth, elderly, people living with a disability, and even professionals. They were there. It was really a blend. And I must say, the way it was done was excellent, because in the discussion, in the auditorium, whatever, and by the way, if a space can be classified as 4-star or 5-star or this and the other, I have not gotten to know that. I know hotels are classified, but we met in church halls, in hotel halls, in institutional halls, whether it was a polytechnic or anything like that, and we met everywhere, right across. And we didn't meet in a very elaborate and very sophisticated place. One, because resources were limited, and we accepted that. And we know, and we knew that we did not have endless resources. And so the budget that had been put in place, it was not in our hands, it was under the management, and we accepted. And at the same time, tulisema, tusifanye hii kitu iwe very expensive. Let this thing be moderate. So, ninataka kusema hivi, Wanjiku alisikizwa. Kwa hivyo wote, professionals, people living with disability,
they were listened to.
I'm telling you, they were very vocal, and they spoke their minds, and they spoke their hearts, and they said, we have never ever had a forum like this where everybody is given the chance to speak, because other forums, it is only identified individuals. We fulani zungumza na ukisikia labda ni MCA, labda ni director fulani, labda ni mjumbe, lakini hapo watu walizungumza.
Alright. So, umesema watu walizungumza, and you've rightly say that there is no session you ever missed in that participation, in those forums. So I'd want to ask you in a very raw way, what were the views of Wanjiku? Tell us exactly, all these forums you went, where did it surround? What were the views? What was it that the Wanjiku really proposed? At the Wanjiku level, kabla hatujafika Nairobi.
Unajua, and let me be very honest with this.
Yes.
Wanjiku in that environment hana structured language, because ni Wanjiku, anazungumza vile ilivyo, anashika hii, anashika ile, namna hii, namna hii. What I would say is, it was the most the degree of freedom for people to speak was very high. So Wanjiku felt accepted. She felt, or he felt at home. And the issues that were really pertinent right across was about the children, youth, tuko na watoto tumesomesha, we have sold everything, wamemaliza masomo, wako nyumbani, and they said, what do we do? Kwa nini serikali haiwezi kupatia vijana masomo? Otherwise masomo ilikuwa ya nini? So the question of youth and employment was, it cut right across. Ya pili, which came out very clearly, was the question of ethos, ethics. Every community yako na cultural norms yao, cultural practices, cultural beliefs, and these are the things that kept people together. It sort of it held the people together so that there is respect, kutoka kwa watoto iende kwa wazazi, na wazazi wana respect wazazi yao. There was a chain of command. Lakini this chain imekuwa broken. So wazazi walikuwa nasema, tutafanya nini? Serikali saidia sisi. Tutafanya nini? Watoto wetu hawasikii sisi. And so it touched the issue of ethos, ethics. Imekuwa totally, not really totally, imekuwa severely eroded kwa nchi yetu. And the other thing was really, they were saying, ukienda mahali fulani kama hakuna mtu ya kusaidia wewe. So they were really complaining about delivery of service. And they're saying, mimi kama mama ama nani nikienda kule kuuliza jambo fulani, I'm not treated well. No one is saying, mama karibu, shida yako ni nini, tukusaidie kwa njia gani? You have to fight your way. So na Wanjiku pale chini ana expect the structure of governance iwe so sensitive to the needs of the people. Mtu akienda pale anapata service. Either anaambiwa si hapa kwenda mahali ingine, ama solution ya jambo lako haijapatikana, so uende urudi siku ingine. They felt there was lack of interaction, sort of friendly interaction with the leadership. And they said it right across, whether you are in Mandera or in Busia or whatever. The complaint was the same. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about, let's roll it. Let's go to the now. At what point did Wananchi talk about, let's talk about the issues of governance, for instance, the structure of government. Which areas did Wanjiku wanted to highlight? Is there any time that Wanjiku came out and talked about the structure of governance?
Not at all. Wanjiku, because in our thematic areas, we were sort of guiding people as to what to discuss. So there was no area where we told people, what do you think about the government? Except when we talked about devolution, Mbaini is such a darling to Wanjiku. Wanjiku anasema hii devolution ni mzuri. Tumeona hata maendeleo. Watu wa mahali kama Mandera wanasema, we had never seen this black nyoka ambaye inatembea kwa street.
Lami, tazama kana.
Ni lami. You know, the kitu, wanashangaa, wanasema thank you to devolution. So mambo ya governance, Wanjiku was not really after that, because even concerns yake were so weighty that they didn't want to talk about either expansion or reduction of the governance structure and the way it is done. So Wanjiku was not very much concerned with that. Yes.
So Wanjiku, there's no Wanjiku who stood and said, okay, now we want a PM, we want a deputy prime minister, we want this and that.
Let me tell you,
or we want more MPs.
Their issues are, they are beyond that. Wanasema hiyo ni ya kasi ya somebody else to discuss about it. In any case, hawajui genesis ya hiyo office. Hiyo MP walifanya namna gani, MCA ilibuniwa namna gani. All those structures we at the top here begin to, walipoanza kuzungumza mambo ya structure, yani ya kusema tunataka hii iongezwe nini na nini. Most of it ilikuja, I would say 90%, I may not have the figures correctly, silikuja in these KICC forums where individuals or groups of people, political parties, civil society, women groups, those are the people who raise the issue and say, oh, tunataka hii badilishwe, tunataka hii ongezwe, so that everybody feels included. Otherwise kule nje.
So kule nje kwa Wanjiku does not feel excluded anyway.
Wanjiku hakusema anything like that because I think Wanjiku anataka service delivery. That is all. Na hajui kwamba hawezi kusema kama prime minister ama kama nani angekuwa hapa angenipatia hii. Those things are beyond.
Those conversations were not there.
No, they are not there.
Okay. Yeah. So mwananchi issue zake ni service delivery, lami ifike nyumbani, resources ifike nyumbani, akuwe na shamba, watoto waende shule, wapate kazi. There was no point where they talked about we want a bigger government or more representation.
Not at all.
No single point.
Not at all.
All right. Okay. Let's talk about the first draft, Boma's draft that came out before this other one. What was it all about?
Well, I think in this session, I would like to say with reservations, I don't want to say a lot. But one thing that came out very clear is BBI 1. Bomas 1.
Yes, that's the Bomas 1. Yeah, kwanza. Ndio tunataka tukalie kwanza. BBI 1. Yes. Let's mark it 1. BBI 1. Because I think they're even good. We're almost getting to 3. So let's mark the BBI 1.
It came out in we captured the spirit of Wanjiku. We captured the spirit of the elite. And when the summary was given, the entire hall and those who heard from distance, they said, yes, this is what we wanted. And the acclamation, okay, it gave us a kind of a feeling that that we did our work well. Hiyo acclamation kusema kwamba hii ni report nzuri, it is because it was very rich. We captured the spirit. Anybody reading it would also identify with himself or herself. And if somebody from Isiolo or from Lodwar akisoma anasema, yes, this is a reflection of what we said. So it was very rich. It was well written. And that is why watu walisema hiyo ni mzuri sana, kama iko namna hiyo tutaendelea ku support this document called BBI. Yes.
So that was the first, that is what you feel you owned it. Yes. You owned the BBI 1. Yeah. That's what you feel you owned. Yeah. So what happened to the BBI 1?
Are you talking of BBI 1 or BBI 2?
The BBI 1, what happened to it?
Well, of course, after it was presented and accepted, there was but lakini.
Yeah, from the proponents.
That lakini, and of course in a democratic space like this, kila mtu is entitled to his or her own views, and I think the view was accepted that we need to validate. Unajua hiyo validation is sawa, lakini you validate kitu ambayo umeweka question mark. Validation ni kurudi kwa watu na kusema, okay, this is what we have written, but is this what you told us? Wacha waseme ndio, hii ni vile tuliwaambieni, ama mulikosea kona fulani, muongeze. So for us, that was validation. Kuenda kule. Na tuliambiwa mwende, but before we embarked on a structured validation process, I think I have no really authority to say anything on this. Things went the way they went, and it became a kind of a public rally, and of course there was delegate meeting before the public rally, and so we from the BBI group felt we were left out, or we were not sort of briefed on what to do with this. But the people who are from the team of experts who were given to us were actually given assignment, and some of us who came from different places, we were told to receive the memorandum from the delegates before the what you call public rally. Anyway, the validation process did not really follow a pattern that we as BBI would have developed. Kama tungepewa hiyo nafasi, nafikiri tungechukua mkondo ingine. Lakini ikachukua mkondo ingine, tukasema sawa. Hatuwezi kubishana, wacha iendelee namna hiyo. Na ikaendelea na hatukuwa na shida yoyote.